What's going on, everybody? It is Jamie, and welcome to the channel Thrift on Fire. Today, I bring you episode 2 of Let's Talk About Reselling in Canada, and this time we're talking to my buddy Chris from Chris's Treasure Chest. If you haven't seen his channel, I will link it down in the description below, so make sure you check that out and subscribe as well. Chris is an OG. He's been selling on eBay for a long time. He'll tell you himself here in just a minute. And yeah, stick around to the very end. This one is a long one. It's over an hour, but Chris has a really cool viewer story, a really interesting one anyway, that he's going to share with you at the very end. All right. So, well, first of all, thanks for doing this, Chris. I really do appreciate it. And I'm sure a lot of people who watch my channel watch your channel as well. I mean, we're both in Ontario. Reselling content in Ontario or in Canada, for the most part, is pretty sparse. It's hard to find, and I think a lot of people, when you start looking, there aren't that many Canadian YouTube type resellers. So why don't you introduce yourself to maybe people who don't know, and then maybe you can explain why you got started selling online in general and eBay.
Yeah, sure. Guys, my name's Chris from Chris's Treasure Chest. You can watch my channel, Canadian reseller, 100% part-time. I'm not a full-time reseller. So you guys know I have had an eBay account since 1999. So a lot of people don't know that. So I've been buying and selling on eBay way back when people used to send me money orders in the mail to pay for their purchases. So an actual transaction would take 2 months. So if you're complaining now, the old days were tougher. So go ahead. Do you want to say something or no?
No. That's interesting. I actually just remember hearing. I was listening to like the Trash to Cash podcast, and Commonwealth Pickard was saying the same thing, that he's been doing it so long he actually preferred the old way. Obviously, cash is king.
Yeah, exactly. But again, there's scammers now as there was then, and the scammers back then were making fake money orders. So you would go to try to cash it at the bank, and it was fake. So a scammer will always find a way to try to get something for free. So anyways, let's go back. So I've had my account since 1999. I've been selling on and off. A lot was just personal purchases, Jamie. But then about 15 years ago, I started selling. Remember Future Shop before Best Buy came here?
Absolutely.
Okay. For those of you in the States, Future Shop was our Best Buy before Best Buy came to Canada. So they used to liquidate like they do now, and you got liquidators buying pallets. I had a gentleman in North York, Ontario, that bought pallets from Future Shop direct. And I would go and buy, electronics that were pulled. And I did that around Christmas time, October, November, December, to make some extra money for my family. So I started doing that, and then I dropped that. But so you guys know, I've been in corporate sales for over 30 years of my life, and in sales management. So I have a very strong business background and a post-secondary education. And the reason I started Chris's Treasure Chest, this format and reselling online, I blame it all on Pete from Craigslist Hunter. It's all Pete's fault. And I tell him that every time when we talk. I saw Pete about 7 years ago, a video on Facebook, just sitting around having a beer, and he was dumpster diving. And I started watching it. You remember those videos? If you remember, And I'm watching it. I'm going, what's this guy doing? And then he started showing the episodes in the shop with Milo the cat. Now that's passed away, and the bird, and and Vicky and everybody else. And I'm watching what he's doing. And I'm going, I think I can do this. So I never stepped in a thrift store in my life before that. Everything was through this liquidator that I met and was buying from him. So I never thought about going into a thrift store and buying and reselling used goods. So I went to my local Sally Ann the next day. I walked in, I spent $50, and I flipped that 50 for 500 in a week.
Wow. Yeah.
And I said, I can do this. So Chris's Treasure Chest was born, the YouTube channel, and I wanted to start it to document my journey from day one.
Listen, Chris here. It's a beautiful February day, and I'm with my daughter, and we're going to be going thrifting right now to Waterdown, Ontario. I live in Milton, Ontario. It's about 20 minutes away where we're going, and then we're going to work our way back to Burlington. This is really my first video, and
so over 6 years ago, you'll see the transition from the crappy sports cam to the better Canon camera and the better microphone and lighting and editing as it went along. And both of them have turned from part-time to full-time, which you know what it's like, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there's only so many hours in a day. So basically, this is what I wanted to start because I can retire shortly at just over 55 years old with a full pension, and I wanted to have something to do when I retired.
Right. And I think I remember you talking about that on your channel. That was sort of the goal for you and your wife, right? Was to give you some extra income. And that's a great goal. And I think a lot of people really should look at it like that. I mean, I've personally just took the plunge into going full time, but you really do need to go all in and be committed. You can't just play around. You're responsible, for your own money at that point. But yeah, I mean, I think that's like the perfect goal is to hit retirement age or early retirement age. 55 is amazing. And and be able to make some solid extra money when you want to, on whether it be, I do think you sell off of eBay as well, right? Like you also do Poshmark, I believe I've heard you talk about a little.
No, Camera Girl One, who's my wife, she does Poshmark and Etsy and eBay. Okay. I'm basically 99% eBay.
Okay.
The rest Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
So the only things that I list on Facebook Marketplace that are the things that are a little too big to ship, right?
Heavy items. Yep.
Yeah. So the whole idea was to be an eBay diehard, and the channel was to teach people how to sell. And I've taught many different individuals, face to face, and everybody thinks this is an easy gig. And yourself, you have to have a little bit of business sense in order to start this. Sure, you can get this remote, pick it up for $1 and sell it for 10, but there's more in the background going with this transaction. You've got your cost of shipping materials, you got your time, your gas. There's a lot of stuff that's involved in selling this little thing. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you're not monitoring your business and checking your profit and your margins, you're not going to survive, Jamie.
No, absolutely. That's the absolute truth for sure.
And the one thing, in Canada, the shipping is killing us, but thank God, I've been in a couple of town hall meetings with eBay, ebay.ca. Jordan Sweetman was in one of the rooms, and I went in there. This is before COVID, before they used to have the Canadian trade show or whatever they called it that was online. And I said to him, "You're treating us like second class. Canada's a small little dot in the whole eBay world, and the eBay team in Canada is very tiny. And I made some contacts within eBay Canada, and they're just overwhelmed, Jamie. They just can't catch up with all their requests. And I think the major goal for them was to work out a program with Canada Post so that we could be competitive with the U.S. market, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think in the last couple of months they've really improved that, like on eBay in particular, if you're trying to buy labels through eBay, which is something I actually do want to talk to you about here in a minute. Another thing is, so I think this will tie in pretty well. So I think we're similar, like we're both in Ontario. I'm more so I'm down by the lake, so I don't know if like Port Dover, Long Point, if those areas ring a bell to you at all.
I know where you are.
Yeah. So I'm from the GTA. I'm like hour and a half. From London, I'm about an hour, but I'm really very rural. I think your rate in the city, correct? Are you like in?
Yeah, I'm about 10 minutes outside of Mississauga. I'm in Milton, Ontario.
Okay.
So I'm right in the heart of a lot of thrift stores.
Okay, so that brings me into the shipping. So I mean, we can talk about other pros and cons for our area.
Sure.
But it surprises me when I do watch your channel. For me personally, I use Canada Post, but it's through a third-party shipper because even through that, I get such better rates. And I don't really know this for a fact, but you only ship through Canada Post exclusively? Yeah,
100%.
And you find that's because the items you're selling will sell regardless of shipping cost, or do you just feel like it's still competitive enough even when you can get bigger discounts through other companies?
My theory on shipping is this. I'm a little bit different.
Okay.
Sure, I can, and I'm not going to disrespect anybody selling video games or CDs or whatever. That's a market where you'd have to do a lot of volume in order to make your money, right? And you need to be competitive. I believe if you create a store that has a very good mix of products, you get them at a good price, and you have very good customer service. Customer service in this business is neglected because we have too many people jumping on and off of the platform, Jamie. Right?
Yeah,
I include in my shipping. I include a little packing slip. Thank you for your purchase. I have a little note in there. And even sometimes I randomly, when I look at items that have been delivered, especially items that I like, they're kind of cool, I'll send a message to the buyer saying, thank you for your transaction. I see you received it. How do you like it? Can you ship, will you shop with us again? And I get feedback all the time. And then when I see those repeat buyers, they know two things. I'm saying I'm shipping quality goods. They know they're going to get it, and it's worth the value, the dollar that they're paying. So going back to your question about shipping, I believe if you have that type of service and that type of store, people will pay for shipping. And the ones that pay for shipping, you're going to have a 0% of returns or problems.
Yeah, I agree. I do find that. I mean, when you're getting into cheaper items, you wind up into more problems a lot of times too. Yeah. I guess the reason why it blows my mind, because for me personally, I just got back today from London. So it's about an hour there and an hour back. And I do that twice a week to ship. And I just ship twice a week, and that's what I do. But it saves me so much money. Especially when I'm shipping things to the States, it's got a little better. Like I said, eBay's definitely stepped it up for buying labels directly through eBay. I've noticed it's a lot cheaper, but like something like a pair of running shoes, which I sell a lot of used shoes. I would have never thought that was something that I would do, but I do. I would say the majority of my business seems to be used shoes these days. It costs me about $8 to $10 Canadian to ship it to the US. And then prior to that, when I was trying to ship through Canada Post, now it's cheaper, but for the longest time, it was always, pushing $20. So, you know what I mean? It's definitely seems to cut. And I'm using Stallion Express and other similar companies, chit chats, I guess. I just find it interesting that you're so close to the city or you're in the city and probably have one around your corner, but you don't use those services.
I don't have a problem with Canada Post. I've probably lost 2 items in 6 years. And for me to go now and use one of those companies, I've got to drive 45 minutes one way, drop it off, 45 minutes, come back, and I've got to do that 3 times a week. That's a lot of my time. And maybe could I sell more? Probably. Could I make more money? Probably. But at this time, my formula works for me.
For sure. And I make it sound more dramatic than it is. When I'm going to London, I'm going to the Goodwill bins, which is, if you've never been there, that's an experience all by itself. It's awesome. Yeah. So I'm going there for that, to pick up a lot of inventory, super cheap. And then obviously, when I'm not in a big city, so when I'm in a city, I can hit different thrift stores and places that I wouldn't normally go. So I'm making the best of the time that I'm away from home. But certainly the goal, or the reason why I'm leaving my house to go there in the first place, is 100% to save money on shipping. But yeah, that's interesting. What else do you feel like in Ontario in particular, like is, very positive and very negative? So obviously shipping is going to be one, but what else do you really find, like, for the pros and cons?
I see, my majority of items I find are basically in thrift stores. I do garage sales, estate sales, everything else that everybody else does. But the problem is, because of guys like you and I and other guys on YouTube, everybody wants to be a reseller now. Right. And, you see these guys in the stores and they're buying stuff. They don't know what they're doing. And it's one of those things where the thrift stores are now increasing prices because of this. And I've got really good relationships with a lot of managers. And if they're watching, they know who I'm talking about. And we talk all the time about reselling and pricing and listing. About when the one opened up in Burlington about, I'm trying to think, 5 years ago, a few executives flew up from Seattle, from Savers, which is Value Village. They invited me and a few other people to the store, and we did a tour around the store. And one of the big conversations we had was the discount program. And I said to them, I go, you need to somehow set something up where you have your retail discount program, and then you have a business discount program where resellers come in and they buy, and you're going to give them 10, 15, 20% off on a regular basis. And there was something, they were looking at it, and we were emailing back and forth. And the girl, I think her name was Debbie. I think she left. And then it just fell right out, right? Because I don't know if you know what they do with the inventory once it's repicked out of the store. They dump it.
Oh, in Value Village, you mean? Or
Yeah,
like that through their system?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They put all the used clothes in Gaylords and they ship them down to Africa and South America, and they reflip them there.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's what they do. Like I always have this story. There was this manager at one of the Value Villages, and in the showcase he had, I think it was about 4 or 5 NHL jerseys that were signed. No COAs on them or anything. It just they were signed, and they were asking like $390 for each jersey. So he knows me, right? And he's retired now. And I said to him, I go, these are never going to sell, man. Like you're just wasting. Even on Seniors Day at 30 off, they're not going to sell. Nobody's going to buy them. And I guess 2 weeks, 3 weeks went by. They were put in a Gaylord and they were shipped down to South America. And some kids running around with a signed Matt Sundin jersey.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah, it is. I don't get the logic behind that either. I know I'm a big Goodwill fan myself. I usually like the kind of stuff that they have in the store. But if they start overpricing shoes in my local store, I buy a lot of shoes in my local Goodwill. If I stop buying shoes for a couple of weeks, the price usually drops. Like depends on the size of the town, right? I'm sure in a city like Toronto or any of the sub-cities in Toronto, there's enough people where they can charge $20 for a pair of Nikes and someone will pay for it. The town that's closest to me, so that there's not that many people, period. So if you need somebody to come in there to find, they want these shoes, this exact size, they're not selling that many shoes out of there for sure.
Yeah.
Not for, but yeah, that's just, my opinion. And I've always find going into our Value Village, the closest Value Village to me is London. Electronics I find is great. Their clothing and all those type of things tend to be priced high, but I think it depends on the area once again.
Yeah, and it depends on who's in the back pricing, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So I was losing my train of thought. I was going to talk to you about resellers again, and in these stores, there's one. I'm not going to mention the Value Village because I know some of the people there. There's one Value Village, and it's really a crappy place. It's just so dirty. They don't clean it. It's just terrible. And there's 4 pickers, and where the carts come out, like the back door, they stand there from the morning till it closes. And as the carts come out, they follow the carts and pick stuff out of there before it hits the floor. And I don't go there anymore because of them. And they pay for it, then they run to the car, and then they put it in their car and they come back. Okay. Yeah.
So,
have you seen that?
I have seen that.
Yeah,
I have for sure. I mean, to be totally honest, if someone's putting stuff on the shelf, sometimes I will look on the cart, but I wouldn't make it a point of just going to stand there and following that person around. I do think that's pretty, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but it's certainly a little bit rude for sure. Somebody's just trying to do their job. You can wait a few minutes, right?
I do a little bit differently. I create a relationship with the people in the stores. They all know me. The ones I go to, they know I film in there. You can see my last video. The girls are waving as I'm walking by. That's how well they know me. And they actually, if they see me in the store, they'll call me over and say, Chris, look what's in that car. Did you go to the showcase yet? As soon as I walk in, because I built that rapport with the people, and they're actually friends. So that's how I get a lot of my good stuff. But I love the business. I think it's great. I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Oh yeah, it's like treasure hunting on a daily, and that's probably a good segue into the next question here. So I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but for maybe anybody who's new to you and new to your channel, what do you mostly focus on in your business?
It's everything. I think it's buying, selling, listing, cleaning the products when they come in so they're presentable. I think it goes back to what I said about customer service and creating a reputation for your store. I think that is very, very key to get repeat business. And I think that's what I focus on. Camera Girl 1 and I we really try to stay away from low price value items. There's no money in it once you start paying the fees. If you want to start doing volume, sure, but I don't have the time to do that. I've done a video. I don't know if you saw it. It's been a couple of years now where I showed if you wanted to make $10,000 a month gross on how to do it. It's a very simple formula. And you take 10,000 divided by 30 days. So after that, you need to sell $333 a day. And if you divide that by your average selling price, which I like to keep it at around $45, you need to sell 7.3 items a day.
Right. That's quite a task.
Yeah. So it's not a lot. If you think about it, it's not a lot, but you get these individuals that want to start reselling and they're thinking about the $10, $15, and $20,000 gross a month that they're trying to make. Take a look at it, guys. It's hard.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
It's very hard. So
if you start to move that needle, you start to get your average selling price down to 20, 15, you have to bump that 7.35 or whatever it is up to 10 to 15 items a day.
Yeah.
So I always say to, people individuals that I'm trying to teach to sell on the platform is sell high, you sell less items a day, you work not as much or not as hard, let's say.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm actually currently trying to move into that a little bit more. I would consider myself a junk seller. I will sell anything. I wouldn't say I necessarily just look for cheap stuff to sell. But I will sell like video games for $10, or especially with access to like the Goodwill bins. I would say you can pick up decent t-shirts for like, they're going to wind up being like 50 cents, even if you don't only get $10 to $15 for them, depending on the platform. That can still be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to get away from that, especially with like cheaper items. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to find stuff like that, maybe lot stuff up, to get the sales price higher, essentially.
Mm-hmm. But I think sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, do you ever work in that model where you look at things to lot up to get a better profit? Or
I've done a little bit of like Monster High dolls. I'll buy like 10 at a time, put them in a bin, and then list 100 of them for $100 or whatever. I've done that, right? I've done that before. But again, it's when I first started and I started hitting the thrift stores and garage sales, and you start to learn this is worth this is worth that. Then it's experience, right? You take it. I'm never going to buy that thing again. I didn't make money off of it. I thought I could sell it, but I couldn't sell it. It's not really cool. Nobody wants it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you just get smarter as you pick. I tell Camera Girl 1 or my wife, but she's Camera Girl 1 on the videos. I always tell her when we're out in the thrift store, when you have it in your hand, okay, it's $14. Okay, I take a look at the sold comps. Okay, now it sells for $39.99. All right, now there's my margin after I pay for it. Now, will somebody pay $20 for shipping?
Right.
So you got it. Now look at that. Now, if no, you don't think so, down it goes. I leave it. I walk away. And that's just experience as you go along. Now, I'm going to give you a good story. Sorry, I might get off a topic here because I like to ramble. I like to talk, Jamie. So
that's okay.
Yeah. I think it was the third year I was selling. I tell this story to a lot of people. And there's two stories I want to tell you. And I was at the local Salvation Army with Camera Girl 1. And, we're still learning this business, start learning what to pick. And I'm in the electronics section and I look down and there's an HP. It looked like a scanner printer in one. It was on a slant on the box. You could see it and it had a weird number. And I looked at the price and it said $9.99. I said, all right, I'll throw it in my cart, whatever. And I never even looked it up and I'm, looking for some more stuff. And Camera Girl 1's looking at her tchotchkes, and she does a lot of glass and collectibles. That's her gig, right? I stay away from that. I don't like shipping anything that's glass. That's my theory, right?
Yeah.
Except for that TV that you sold was a nice sale. I like those.
Yeah. Tricky to ship, but fun to sell.
Fun to sell, good money. So I get my phone and I go to Amazon, and I look it up. $898, brand new in the box.
Wow.
I do a double take and I'm like, whoa. So buy it, come home, start to investigate. And what this thing was, it was a special printer for the medical industry. And what it did, doctors would take their documents and it would fire through this. They would scan and would go into a certain software in the PC. So it was made specifically for the medical industry.
Okay.
So I listed it for $899. Camera Girl 1 and I got in the car. We hit another thrift store. As I was getting out of the car, it sold instantly. And I looked at it, and the big thing when you look at the guy he or she who bought the item, and you go, zero feedback.
Yep.
You know the feeling, right? And you go, okay, let's see what happens here. 2 seconds later, it's not paid for yet. Okay, another half hour, it's not paid for yet. So I send this was the gentleman. He was in the Bronx, New York. That's where he lived. Send him a message, say, look, you got zero feedback, a little nervous about the transaction. When do you expect to pay? Yada, yada, yada. He didn't respond to me for a day. So now I contact eBay, have a discussion with them, and they said, do what you want. Say, you cancel it and say there's something wrong with the address if you feel nervous about the transaction. So I canceled the transaction. The guy messages me half hour later, call me. Now I'm going, I don't want to call this guy.
No.
So he sends me a message and he goes, look, this was for a hospital in Guyana. I buy all these medical items and I ship it down there. So I did call him because once he said that, I go, okay, maybe it's true. I don't know. And he got to the phone and he goes, do you have 4 more of these? I go, I wish I had 4 more. And he goes, I'm going to buy it right now. I'll pay you right then and there. He bought it and I shipped it out and he got it and shipped it to Guyana. So There was a bit of that was a nice flip. One of the nicer flips for $10.
That's awesome. The zero feedback, that always makes me cringe for sure. Yeah. And I mean, we all do start somewhere, but usually don't start with an $800 item.
Yeah, it was a nice sale, but and on the other side, I had another one. I walked into a Value Village and they had a vintage 80s heavy metal hairband bass. It had 2 skulls on it. The case was there. And it was one of the Flying V's, the ones I'm talking about back in the 80s. Yeah.
I used to own one of those.
Yeah. So I looked at it and I'm going, and they wanted $89 for it. And I'm going, this thing's worth more than $89. So I put it in my cart. I bought it. I took it home and I did some investigation, and it was made by a company in Japan in the 80s. They made it a limited run of these bass guitars. They made yellow, black, and red. Okay. This one was the black one with the skulls. So I looked at other comps that weren't on eBay, like on music stores, $987 to $1,000 for this thing.
Wow.
So I listed it on eBay, and for those of you that don't watch my channel, I don't ship international. I don't want to get into that game. I have in the past, and I've had headaches, so I stay away from. I just do North America, excluding Mexico, again, another place, and we can talk about that later. So I listed it, I think for $9.89 or $9. I can't remember, $9.50, and I list it. I go grab a coffee, come back, and ding, I get a message. And this guy says, hey, will you ship to Japan? I'm like, sure, I'll ship to Japan. Yeah, you want to buy the thing at full price? And I said, it's not going to be cheap. He goes, I don't care. How much? So I went to my Canada Post, and I looked at it. And because of the size and the weight, the only way I could ship it to Japan was expedited, I think, 100%, and 2 days delivery. Full insurance, full tracking. And I think the shipping was $689 to $700 because it's 3 days, right?
Yeah.
So I send the gentleman a message. I said, here's your shipping rate. If you agree, I'll add Japan to the shipping parameters. You buy it and I'll ship it out once you pay. Sure enough, I change it, pays me instantly for it. So I sent him a message back. I said, okay, it's all good. I got your money. I said, just curious, are you, do you play guitar, or what do why are you so interested? He says, I live in Tokyo, and I looked up his address, and it was a beautiful tower building, like in the middle, like who knows what it was worth, millions, $10 million, I don't know. And he lived in this condo up top, and he was a collector. He collected vintage electric guitars.
Wow.
And then that goes to show you, back to shipping, people will pay good money for shipping on a product that they want.
Yeah, no, I honestly believe that too, for sure.
Yeah. Like, you're not going to get these every day, but when you do, they're nice home runs.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So
nice home runs is probably a good segue here for the next question. So what do you think, if you could walk into whether it be a garage sale, a thrift store, state sale, what are your top 5 bolos? Like, what are things that you would absolutely pick up without a shadow of doubt?
Well, if you watch my channel, I love vintage electronics. Electronics are my favorite thing to pick. I will always hit that first. and then the weird and wacky stuff out there that I can make good money on. But I think this is a question that's a general question, and I'll tell you why, Jamie.
Yeah.
Because the eBay platform changes always. Okay, you need to be educating yourself, watching other resellers, watching the market trends, and the bolos will change all the time. Electronic, like one time, I used to sell tons of VCRs. I used to sell tons of VCR, DVD, dual units.
combos,
That market has crashed. It's gone, right? And now that's replaced with, let's say, puzzles or board games. Things change all the time, and the thing that really, and I try to help my viewers that watch my channel. They always say to me, Chris, I didn't sell anything for 5 days. Okay, so what are you selling? I'm selling these vintage vases from France from 1922, and they're worth $1,200. Well, there's your problem. Like, it's something that it's not somebody they need. It's a want, and especially now with our economy being this way, interest rates where they are, the collectible market, I think, is kind of bottom out a little bit. And I think we're more looking at items that people need: blenders, kids' toys, kids' clothes, shoes, things like that, where they're trying to save a little bit money. And I think if you kind of get your head around it and take a look where the market is, you'll be very successful on Etsy, and all Poshmark, on eBay, and all these platforms. So I think that's a better answer for the bolo, Jamie, right now.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I do think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, but again, my number one, I love vintage cameras, always cameras. I love electronics for sure. I don't sell clothes. I don't sell shoes because I don't take returns.
Right.
I don't take any returns on my items. I go by the eBay guarantee, or the buyer's guarantee and the seller's guarantee. That protects us. And I'm pretty honest. If I ship something to somebody, it doesn't work, and they complain, here's your money back. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's fair. I think that's pretty much the way you have to go about it in Canada, which is obviously part of the, people know that, and they play the scam game a little bit, but yeah.
Well, the other issue, and I only use Canada Post, and if I sell to the US and somebody wants to return something and they file a claim to me, I am not able to create a label to send them because I deal with Canada Post. So I have to open up a United States Postal Service account, make the label there, and then send it. And it's too much of a hassle. I usually tell them, just, I'll give you a partial refund or keep it. That's it.
Yeah. I just got into that with, so I sell on, like I said, multiple platforms, but I started selling on Poshmark US, which is obviously different from the Canadian sites. Mm-hmm. So I get US Postal Service labels, which is why I would have to take them to London, because it's a cross-border company. So they just take them for you. I think it costs 90 cents for them to do that. But getting them back is a different story, because when it hits the border, all of a sudden there's no customs for it. And it's actually, the transaction was actually in the US to begin with. So I actually had to apply to Canada Revenue Agency and get an importer number. So when I get these returns back from Poshmark, I have to fill out paperwork. It's worth doing because on Poshmark, they pay for all the shipping. So it only cost me 90 cents to get it, or not 90 cents, whatever it is. But so I had to go that route, because for the longest time, my stuff was just sitting, I think in Buffalo, New York. And any returns I was getting from Poshmark were just sitting there, and I couldn't even get them back. They're like, oh, you have to have this importer number just to even get it, which was kind of, it was a pain. I mean, it was more or less, it was just sitting on hold with the CRA for 3 hours to talk to somebody, but still, it's kind of a nuisance just to get a return. And like you said, with Canada Post, when you do the same thing, it's really hard to get a return label that way.
Yeah, and the only other way they'll do it is once the claim expires, and they will create a label. eBay will make a label for you, but they'll charge you top dollar. It's not like the $9. It could be $45 US, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, just keep it. I don't. I'm not going to fight with them. It's not worth it. The thing I wish eBay does this, where if it's a buy now, why don't you charge them right away?
Yeah, I think it's the only platform left that is like that I can think of. Like, it is frustrating.
I don't get it. It's a buy now. You have the person's banking or credit card information. They click buy now, sold, bill them. It's over. Why do we have to wait for it? And I think they're going to change that. They have to change that moving forward.
I certainly hope so. I would think that's probably the number one complaint they hear from buyers. Sellers.
Sorry,
Yeah. One of those ones.
Yeah, no, I have no complaints with it. I love the platform. It's been good to me. Like I said, I get very few requests for returns, very few problems. I've had the scammers, the people taking the hard drives out of computers and returning them. Yeah, I've had that many times. So, but other than that, like I say, I stay away from clothes because I don't know anything about clothes. I don't want to say it's extra large and then they ship it and they say it's too small and I got to return it. I don't want to get into that. I don't have the time.
It is a completely different game for sure.
So do you offer returns? Do you offer returns on your clothes?
I have buyer pays returns, although people know how to play the game and they just say item not as described, and then good luck trying to prove that's not. So yeah, I do just offer buyer pay returns, and I occasionally people do just decide to return it and pay, and that's totally fine. But I would say the majority of the things like clothing and shoes that would get returned would be on platforms like Poshmark or Vinted, where the returns aren't really such a big deal. You don't have to pay for them. On Poshmark pays for the return label to get back to you. And then on Vinted, the same thing. If the person wanted to return it, and most of those ones are pure later. They just send it back to you for free, which basically makes it, more worth your time. But
interesting.
Yeah. Which is why I think a lot of people really get into Poshmark first, and then kind of, not everybody. Obviously, if you start with eBay, you love eBay, and you maybe move on to other platforms. But a lot of people who get on Poshmark and do really well, I find, are so intimidated by the shipping because they, you sell a shirt or pair of shoes on Poshmark, they just give you the label and you print it off on your printer at home. You can tape it to the thing, or if you got a thermal printer, whatever, you don't have to worry about how much it costs because that's not part of the sale on the platform. The fees on Poshmark are much higher than eBay, but it's a lot simpler of a process for sure.
And Amazon's another ball. I don't even want to get it. I did books for a little while. I lost my shirt.
I tried to do this. I didn't try to do books, but I think I tried to do small toys and a few different things. And it's really hard to make any money on that platform. And
their fees are so high.
Crazy.
There's a couple of guys that I know, they actually sleep in China. They're young guys. They're in their late or early 30s. They're doing about $10 million a year drop shipping.
Wow.
You know what their return rate is? 42%.
Yeah, I guess when you're hitting those kind of numbers, you can stomach it. But
42%.
That is the thing with Amazon, though. It's all about volume, right?
And you have to have nerves of steel and be able to sleep at night to deal with those numbers.
Yeah. Not for the average person, I wouldn't say, right?
No. I know another guy. He had a bunch of Disney stuff and he got gated. He had 2 skids worth. He's done. They sent it back to him and he had to eat it. So that's the problem.
At least he got it back. Yeah, that's because I know part of their policy is if they can just throw your stuff to a liquidator, which I've gotten to that a few times and bought Amazon return pallets. That's so hit or miss too. I don't know if you've ever played that game or not. I know I think I've seen. Yeah. It's hard, right? So much junk. And then I believe these days when you do buy a pallet, it's already been picked through. Like everything that's worth anything is gone.
Yeah, it's been picked 5 times before you get it.
Yeah, I believe so.
The guys I love are the ones that are on Facebook selling all those TVs that are broken. They buy pallets of them. They're going, the screen's busted, but you can get it for $300. Okay, whatever. It's just they're here today and they're gone tomorrow. And that's why I talk about the resellers. There's the good ones last, right? And that's the thing. It's like, you know what I tell this to Camera Girl 1 all the time. Selling or picking, let's say picking, going out picking. It's like fishing, right? Everybody can go get a rod, they can get a worm or a lure, and they can throw in the water, and then they're a fisherman. the real good fishermen that know what they're doing, they get the best fish. And that's how I kind of classify picking in these stores. The good resellers to the, the really crappy ones. But we're not saying crappy, but the guys that don't know what they're doing. But it's kind of like there's a market for everything, and if you're good at it, you know what you're looking for. Like I don't know. I have a good eye, and I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I'm out with my wife, and I come back with the cart, and she goes, "Where the hell did you find half this stuff?" and it all sells for good money, and it's just you just need what to pick, what to buy over time, and that's what makes you a good reseller, Jamie.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of things, like for somebody new, figuring out good brands that sell, just because something is old or vintage doesn't mean it's going to be worth anything. There are certainly, certain things that sell better than others. And that's, brands are definitely something I would say that people need to learn when you're getting into reselling in general.
Yeah. And the thing too, with the Saint Laurent purses and Nike running shoes, I tried, doing that. I tried actually sports shirts, like hockey jerseys and stuff.
Yeah. And
then I ran into a bunch of them that are fake, and I had to return all the money. And I said, I'm done with this. I'm done.
Yeah.
There's too many fakes, good fakes out there.
Very good fakes. Yeah. Yeah, there are. But I do like to sell a lot of jerseys, but I kind of know what I'm looking for. That's a lot to do with the stitching and the tags. But I noticed even some of the newer Nike jerseys, they don't even put real tags in. They're all like screen printed tags. So they're almost their own worst enemy. They're just asking to be knocked off. But, I find more nostalgic and fun selling the vintage stuff anyway. So when I find that, out, it makes me happy, even if I can just own it for a little bit and it goes out the door to somebody else.
Yeah, if I get a 1970s hockey jersey, I know it's old, it'll sell. I'm not worried about that. The newer stuff, it's different. Right.
It's hard. Yeah.
Very, very hard. So
this is probably a good segue into the last question here. So obviously you said you've been 99. Is that what you said?
99. Yeah. When I call eBay, they go, "Thank you for your service. It's 1999. I laugh.
That's awesome. So what do you wish you would have knew in 1999 that you know now?
Staying organized is the hardest thing I think people don't understand. You're buying all this stuff. You're cleaning it, you're listing it. You got to be organized. You got to know where everything is. I can't count on my two hands how many times somebody said, "I lost that item. I don't know where I put it. I sold it yesterday." It's hard to be very, very organized and keep focused. I think, you gotta, like, I think you said the other day on one of your videos I was watching, you've kind of said to yourself, okay, I want to list 10 items a day for this week, or 5 items a day for this week. And I think you have to have discipline. It's like you're going to work. You got to get up in the morning. You got to go picking. You got to bring the stuff home. You got to clean it. You got to test it. You got to list it. And then you got to pack the orders for that day. So it's actually, you got to be actually scheduled to run your own. It is a business. It's your own business. And I joke sometimes. I tell buddies of mine, I go, Saturday night I went to bed and I got up in the morning and I sold $900, and they just laugh at me, right? They think it's amazing, but they don't understand the work behind it. That's the thing. So
that is a big thing, and I do believe a lot of people have the belief in their head that it is passive income, and to some extent it can be passive income because you made $900 while you're sleeping, but it took a lot of work to get to the point where you made that money. Exactly. That's the part that people neglect to think about, and it does become a lot of work. I personally love doing this and am totally consumed in it with it. And the fact that my wife doesn't think I'm totally crazy is awesome. Like, she couldn't be more supportive. So that's great. Cause when you start having, the room behind me was a bedroom. It is completely full of bins and stuff. And I do try to stay fairly organized, so I know where everything is, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. But just to some people, it probably seems absolutely crazy just to have a bunch of junk, in your house.
Well, we're reselling junk.
Yeah.
Stuff people threw out in a sense, but there's always a buyer for it. People are looking for
value.
There is value there.
For sure.
Like camera girl one standing over here. She goes, "I hate the mess." She's standing there,
Yeah.
waving at me.
Uh,
She goes, "We got to contain to one area now." She just said,
yeah.
"It could be everywhere." But I think that is like going back. I think your question was, "Wish I knew." I
Yeah.
think that is the key thing. But it really didn't start, Jamie, till 6 years ago. The really selling this deep and going to thrift stores. But like I said, again, it's a business, and I think I lost my train. I was going to tell you another little story. There was a girl, and if she's watching, and if she follows my channel, I know she does. She was going to university, believe it or not, to get her bachelor's, and this was, I think, year 3 or 4 of me doing this. And she sent me a message. Her dad's a lawyer, and she said, "Can we meet? I want to learn how to do this." So we kind of met and had a coffee, whatever. And I don't blame her dad being there. Like, I'm 56. What is, she was a young girl. Like, I'm going to meet her at a coffee shop. This old creep. But she is now, she's doing almost $10,000 a month in vintage clothes. She's on a bunch of different platforms, like university platforms and stuff. I still run into her the odd time. She's got 4 or 5 shopping carts in the thrift store wheeling along. Yeah, she doesn't have a YouTube channel. She doesn't need to. She doesn't have the time.
Yeah, it takes time.
And that actually, I remember what I was going to say. People, individuals think if you're going to get into this business and you think you're going to sell $10,000 a month by yourself, it's virtually impossible. You need help. You're going to get to a point where you're okay. I'm doing $7,000. I'm doing $5,000. I'm burnt out. Okay. You need people, you need help to get to that next level. So if you see these big channels like Rally Roots, you watch them. I've watched them several times. I think it's more entertainment than selling anymore for them.
It is.
Yeah. And you look at the volume they're doing, it's because they have employees. That's the difference. So you get to the point where, do I go full-time? Do I hire one person? Do I rent a unit? Do I go get a unit? Do I put an addition on my house? You have to answer all those questions in order to take the next jump, to be the $100,000, $200,000 a year gross seller.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Do you agree? Like, you get to a point where you can only grow so much.
I think so. There's only so much you can do physically in a day. I know like just at the point where I'm at, I don't feel like I could put in a lot more work than I do now. But the one thing you could do, obviously, is change your business model to like higher sales price, right? That's the only way you're going to really jump up. It's only so much one person can do in the day, for sure.
Or you start specializing in a certain SKU or certain item.
Yeah,
where you're good at it, and everybody knows you're the person that sells that, right? Yeah, and you keep coming back. But I got a bolo for you. I got a really good one, and I'm going to share it with your viewers because my viewers, I don't know if they know. Yeah, I think they know about it. You take a look, and this is really an interesting category, and I've been watching a lot of it, and you've probably looked at it yourself, is selling abroad snacks that don't exist in certain countries. Have you done that before?
No, but I just got warned by my when I drop stuff off at Stallion, it's always the same person. Yeah. And it's technically a no to ship food across the border. But yeah, I do know about this, and it is very lucrative.
There's big money, especially in flavored potato chips.
Yep, that's exactly what he was telling me about. But continue.
Yeah, and I made a killing last year on a certain flavor of laced potato chips. I'm not going to tell you the flavor. I cleared out Walmart twice.
That's awesome.
And I was selling the large bag for $22. Laced potato chips.
That's really. I actually watch a guy on Instagram. I think his name is Captain Flip Flops, which doesn't sound like a reseller name, but he's I think also from the East Coast, and he was selling these discontinued Monster energy drinks to. I think they were like Monster Assault. They must have discontinued them in the States, but you could still get them here. Yeah. And he was selling like 12 packs for like $120, and he was selling them like on the regular. I was like, wow. And I think he got into some other specialty Red Bulls and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But I mean, if it's something you want or interested in, people will buy that stuff for sure.
You have the only problem is it's got an expiry date. That's the only problem.
Expiry date, yes.
And then you got to toss it, right? You throw your inventory out.
Yeah.
Especially on potato chips. So, but anyway, everything sells. Like, it's crazy. Like, you got the one guy, he's selling air from Colorado. He puts it in a jar and he sells it. Like, it's everybody says everything sell. It does sell at one time. There is stuff that doesn't, but it's very few between. Just check your app. Go to the app, right, and check what's sold.
So, yeah.
But that's pretty much in a nutshell how I do it, and I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I'm going to probably go full time in the next 12 to 24 months, I think, and then I think I'm going to try to grow it a little bit. I've got some ideas in my head on how to, take it to the $200,000, $300,000 in sales. But if you guys want to, if you've never watched my channel before, guys, come on by and have a look, leave some comments. I'll really appreciate it. So
yeah, I'm sure people, like I say, I do believe a lot of people who view my channel do view yours just based off of where we are. But yeah, definitely, hopefully we can get a couple more subscribers your way. And once again, Chris, I do appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you here all afternoon, but
no. I love talking about it. No problem. Yeah. So right. The one thing I wanted to ask you, how many guys, Canadian resellers, do you think are on YouTube? I've always asked that question when I'm talking to guys like you.
I was able to find maybe 5 that I actually thought were doing a pretty decent job. You being one of them, actually, which is kind of fun to talk to you. And then I found a lot of people who started and quit type of deal. But as far as really big ones, not too many. There's a few that may be around 10,000 subscriber type deal, but I can't think of anybody who's a huge Canadian reseller.
Yeah,
on YouTube anyway.
Yeah,
it is a smaller niche.
Yeah, it's a smaller niche. It's our population and the size, but a lot of American guys, a lot of American resellers, but there's so many down there that you think there's a lot of pickers here. Go to Florida.
Oh yeah. Florida's crazy. We love the vacation in Florida, and then we will hit some of the flea markets when we're down there. And yeah, it's nuts. I've considered going out there just for a week, just to go pick and then ship everything home. But it's hard to say if it'd even be worth it with our dollar's so poor right now, or there's whatever you want to look at it, but it's not great.
Yeah, I did. I've done a couple of videos. We haven't done it for a while. We went down to Pennsylvania, through Buffalo, picked all the way back, filled the back of the truck, got to the border coming back, and they said, "Did you buy anything?" Yeah, I said, I went to a couple of thrift stores and I bought some clothes for my kids and whatever. And I go, "Here's the receipt." I said, "Go right ahead." And I went to a couple of garage sales. They didn't care. They were more looking for me going to Louis Vuitton and the big stores and not paying tax on stuff. But I did another tour. We went right to the border of Quebec in the East Coast, and I hit thrift stores in Quebec. Very different. Wow. Very different than here. And picked up stuff, from there. I enjoyed that. I've done up north road trips, but never Florida. I've heard Florida because it's the retirement area. As soon as somebody passes, the state has all kinds of stuff to sell. And there's good stuff down there. But again, hey, it is what you're interested in, and you got to dig. I always tell guys, when you're in the thrift stores, don't look here, look at the bottom underneath. That's where you find the gold. And I found a lot of gold down below, and
digging behind the bags for sure. That's always a good thing to do. Yeah. Usually a lot of stuff's been left behind. I know. I think it's been about a month ago now. I was digging through the bags at the Value Village, in London, Ontario. And there was first of all, I was surprised to see it and that nobody touched it. It was a Game Boy Advanced, which is, I don't know when they were, from the mid 90s. I'm like, okay. And it was I think it was $4.99. Normally stuff like that gets put up in the glass counter and whatever. I'm like, okay, somebody didn't know what they were doing. And it was just hiding behind something. Like, you couldn't just see it in plain sight. I was like, made my day.
Yeah. Oh, you make money. Exactly. Somebody's mistake is your profit, right?
Yeah. Now, a lot of times I feel like these days with the inflated prices in thrift stores, that you are looking for somebody's mistake, somebody who maybe didn't know what they were pricing. Because, nowadays when you go in there and you look at stereo receivers, or you mentioned VCRs and stuff like that, I still do sell and do really well with VCRs on Etsy. I sell VCRs on regular for like $60 to $90 on Etsy, but never on eBay anymore, which is crazy. But that's what you're doing, right? You're looking for somebody who didn't price something correctly, and you can see the value in it.
The other area where I'm pretty successful in, and it's something that your viewers may want to do. Whenever I'm at a garage sale, I'm always leaving a business card for my store. So my store is DIDI Sales Canada on eBay, guys. So if you want to check it out. And on there, on the back, it lists, I should have grabbed one to show you. On the back, it lists, I pay cash for Bob, this. I just list a bunch of stuff. And I hand it to them and I say, hey, if you're ever selling other stuff, or a friend or a relative, hey, give me a call. And I've got some really good scores doing that, leaving it behind. There was one gentleman, he had a garage full of auto parts, and I bought a bunch of stuff off of him, and I made very, very good money. Actually, he's a repeat customer of mine that I go see all the time. He just keeps digging stuff out of his house. But I've got a lot, and it's a good way of getting a lot of items cheap, right, in one spot. And that's a little bit of a tip for you guys out there. And it goes back to building the relationship, right, with people, and the trust with people, because people trust you. And the next time you go and you say, okay, I'll give you $50 for all that. No problem, Chris. You pay them cash and away they go. And they're going to call you back because you're honest with them. You're not trying to rip them off. I even in the past have gone back and given somebody extra money after I sold stuff, saying, actually, you know what? I paid you too little. I think it's fair. Here's an extra $40. Thank you. And they appreciate it, right?
Oh yeah, that goes a long way for sure.
So
yeah,
I think you have to be honest, Jamie, in this business.
Yeah, it does, and it does pay off in the end for sure.
Yeah.
I know, and in both ways too. I know there's a few people locally that do storage units, and they get stuff that they're not sure what to do with. And sometimes it goes the other way too. Like I was looking through some stuff, and they're asking too much for it. I'm like, listen, this is how. Sometimes I'll even show them, this is how much I would make, or this is how much I could sell for online. I can't give you more than this. It is a two-way conversation. And then other times, like you said, maybe they don't want enough for it, and you're like, to be fair, I probably could pay you a little bit more. And that respect goes a long way to, I think, building good relationships with people you're trying to get inventory from.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had comments. I bought some stuff off of one guy one time, and I had a bunch of comments, and they said, "Oh, you ripped the guy off. You should have gave him more." And I'm like, "Whoa!" I even said in the video, it may take me 7 years to sell all this. Yeah, maybe in the long run, it is worth more than I paid, but it's not one of the things like we got a little honey hole of a bunch of Dreamcast games, right? A lot, and we just sold out. We bought them for 100 and we sold them for 1,000. It's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, that is.
You're going to flip them a lot faster. So Pete from Craigslist Hunter got in a little bit of trouble on that one show where they bought a bunch of the Atari games that were sealed for cheap. Oh. He got called out. Pete, if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. So you got to be careful what you post. But and all in all, like I said, if you're honest, you're going to do well, and you're going to build relationships. So
I think so. And I think on YouTube, that's one of the things a lot of people that do watch my channel have reached out and said to me is they appreciate. I think you do the same quite a bit on your channel. A lot of times I will share my failures as well as the things that have went well for me, and people really do like that. Where I think when you're just doing nothing but showboating and just look at all this money I've made and blah blah blah, that doesn't at first that might go over well, but in the long run, showing that you're human. And I think people really do need to see both sides of the reselling game, because I've bought tons of stuff that I've brought home and thought, geez, I should not have bought this, or or you look something up and it's like, oh, this isn't the same model or something, and it's not as worth as much as you thought it was.
I did that with a bunch of cameras. I missed one digit, and from a $200 camera, it was a $20 camera, and I paid $20 for it. And I was like, oh man.
Yeah. So you're going to get your money back, or maybe just lose a little bit, but you still have to put in the same amount of work, right? That's the problem.
Have you ever tried storage units? yourself?
I really want to, and I've looked at them. I have not. I do have a good setup for it. We live on I live on a family farm, and there is places where I could use for storage if I got stuff but I haven't, just based off of time. But now that I'm doing this full time, I thought I'd have a lot more time, but I actually seem to have less time. I'm trying to put a lot of more time into reselling. YouTube takes a lot of time. It's hard to find time, but no, not something I have done, but something I would love to do. How about yourself?
The space is an issue in processing. I think, you look at a storage unit, and if it's a house, you got your kitchen. How much stuff's in a kitchen? You know yourself. You got your bedrooms, you got the bathrooms, you got the basement, you got the garage. And the bulk of the good stuff is in the bedroom, really, right? Jewelry, stuff like that you want to go and get, and electronics. But the rest of it's really junk. And and I'll share it with you one day off camera, I have a great idea on the rest of those items, how to get rid of them for big money. I've come up with a formula, and actually Resell Rabbit gave me this idea watching him. I don't know if you watch him, but
I've seen a little bit of that content. Yeah.
What Resell, when he was doing Amazon, and he was driving around in his car and living in hotels. And did you ever see those videos where he would go
in hotels? Oh, doing like the bin kind of things. Those
he would,
stores.
Yeah, that. But he would also go to thrift stores or flea markets. He would buy a bunch of stuff. He'd go to a hotel that night. He'd bring his printer in, his camera, and everything, and whatever. And he would take pictures, and they would put it in the Amazon box, and then ship it to Amazon. It was like a mobile office. That's what he did. He traveled all through the U.S. before what he's doing now. They were good videos. I enjoyed watching him. But
I mean, that does sound kind of familiar. I can't.
The other guy, who's the other guy that used to do that? Rank and Profit.
Oh yeah.
He did that too, and now he's blown up this big channel, and he's doing quite well. But
he's now Amazon guru.
Yeah, he's the Amazon guru. You know what? I have no disrespect for the guys. I have 100% respect for every reseller out there. Yeah. I don't turn my nose to anybody. You're always learning all the time. But I always tell people on my channel, I will never charge you for information.
Right.
The internet is full of info. You can find out whatever you want for free. And I will never try to, sell a course or anything like that. I'd rather give you my expertise for free and be honest. And my followers or viewers, they appreciate that. So,
yeah, I do think that is what builds a good audience as well. And I feel the same way. I don't think there's a real need to sell or do that sort of a program. It does seem like a little bit of a far-fetched.
No, I like doing sold videos. I like showing what I sold. Did I make money? Didn't I make money? And would I buy the item again? That's my whole spiel on my channel. And you see people going, "Oh my God, you got bathed on that thing." I go, "Oh yeah." And I see it in the thrift store. I go, "I'm not touching that thing ever again." Keep walking, right?
Yeah.
But again, you gotta look at the themes. You gotta look at the trends. That's very important. And it goes back to your BOLO thing. You gotta be up, guys, with what you want to buy and what sells and how to make money off of it. But no, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing. I love the hunt, like you said. That's why I called my channel Chris's Treasure Chest, because it's a treasure hunt. Every single day. I wish I could get out more, though, Jamie. I'm not out enough because I have a full-time corporate job.
Yeah,
and I don't know how you have no time now. Like you should tell that you're doing it full time, but I guess you grow, right? You sell more and list more.
For sure. Yeah. I feel like between listing, I wake up every day. I try to get my shipping out. I try to get my shipping, and then I draft items personally. So I'll have 10 items in draft. So I get those up. I do sell on about 5 platforms. So then I cross list to those platforms. But I'm using a cross listing app, so it takes about 45 seconds per listing. But if you're doing 10 a day, that still adds up when you're trying to hit the platforms that if it's a T-shirt, it's not going to get listed on everything. If it's a vintage stereo receiver, it's not going to get listed on everything, just the appropriate platforms.
Right.
That takes time. Then depending on the day, if I'm not sourcing, there's a lot of, when you buy used shoes, it takes a while to clean them and make them look like somebody would want to buy them. You can list them just dirty in the way that they are, but if you want to get better money, that takes time. Doing proper photography takes time. Then you'd still have to draft everything to get it ready for the next day, or do big batches if you want to have, you know, stuff for the weekend, you know, but that all does take time. And I was very lucky with my full-time job. I was working in a factory, and I would take pictures on my phone at home. And then at work on my lunch hour or in my downtime, which we had a lot of, I could, you know, mess around, do some listings. And I took that for granted a little bit, because I was using my time, my spare time at work sometimes to work on some of my eBay store, you know, whether it be just revamping stuff, or which is technically, I guess, maybe a little bit gray area whether I should be using company time to do that. But, you know, it was sort of my break time on company time. It wasn't like I was making people wait or anything like that. It was just, but yeah. So now all that has to be done on my own time. And those are important things to keep your business going. I love baseball. I make time for baseball. I've been trying to watch the Jays. Other than that, you know, I obviously make time for my family and my wife, and
very important. Yeah. Very important.
Yeah, treating it like a business is number one, I think, though. You really do have to believe that's what it is, and treat it that way to be successful. I mean, you could buy stuff and get lucky. That's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, but I do think you really do need to put in the time.
Yeah, and the time, of course. And like you said, it is a business. You've got to know what you're doing. You don't want to, at the end of the day, if you're not making a profit, if you can't figure it out, you better get out fast. Because you're just going to spend endless amounts of money on inventory stuck in your garage. And then you're going to go, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you're stuck with it. There's so many guys out there that happens to.
Yeah, for sure. It does. I've ran into a couple who, I've only done it once. I've had a few people ask if I would be interested in buying out their inventory of their eBay store. In this one gentleman, I made a video about it. I think it's right up there at the top of my channel. And I met him in Kitchener in a parking lot. I kind of looked through his store prior before he took stuff down. He had more stuff that was unlisted. I think we made a fair deal for both of us, and that was interesting. But that was the same thing. I know his biggest thing was he truly believed it was going to be a little more passive, and he didn't know how much work it was going to be, and he didn't have the time because he had a young family, a full-time job, and this was eating up probably the time he wanted to be doing something else, right? Like you have to be dedicated to looking at it like a job for sure.
Yeah, there was one guy, he gave me a call, and we met in a coffee shop, and gave him the spiel. This is how you do it. So he's watching my videos. So it was a Friday night or Thursday night, and I do have a lot of my viewers, personal numbers that they talk to me all the time or text me, and I love doing that, right? Trying to help them out. And the guy phones me. He goes, "Yeah, I was at the thrift store today, and everything was sold out." I go, "What do you mean everything was sold out?" "Everything that you showed me on your videos, there was no stock of." I'm like, okay, let's go back for a second. This is a general idea on what you can find and what you can resell. The store was not sold out, sir, right? "Oh, no, there's other stuff there." Then go around and look at the other items that are there and check your app and see if it sells. And I eventually had to get rid of him because he was driving me crazy, because he was watching and he's per verbatim on my videos. Chris sold a Smurf cake pan for $49. He was looking for that Smurf cake pan.
Right. I mean, it makes sense to look for similar items, but specific items is pretty tricky.
Oh, he was a character, and I haven't talked to him in a long time. But, I run into all kinds, but they're good. They're some good guys, some good people out there, and they work hard. And I think in my situation, if I look at the demographics of my channel, it's more of individuals that are in their middle 40s, early 50s that are looking for a secondary income. And that's probably the most of my viewers. I still got, people are in their 20s and 19-year-olds and stuff like that. But I guess it's because of my age. I'm getting old, Jamie.
Oh, we're all getting older.
Yeah. So, but I wish reselling was a bigger topic on YouTube, spread, to more viewers. We all know the cooking and the traveling channels dominate the platform, But I love what I'm doing. I love meeting guys like you and other resellers, and doing videos, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Once again, thank you so much, Chris. I really do appreciate your time, and it was a really great conversation. If you guys know anybody else in the reselling community, whether it be a YouTube reseller or just somebody who's killing it in Canada reselling, leave their name down below so we can contact them and get them to be a part of this series. I'm trying to talk to somebody from every single province in Canada, so it is quite the task, but hopefully we can do it. If you guys like videos like this, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing for more content. Until next time, take care, stay safe. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.